Hello, and thank you for joining me for this, the fourth episode of the LittleAutisticMe Podcast. My name is David, and I am a late diagnosed autistic guy. On today's episode, I'd like to talk to you about stereotypes often used when talking to or about us, autistic people. The first is one which really annoys me, and I know I'm not alone in this. It is a ridiculous expression which I've heard people talk about online a lot. Unfortunately, it is also one that has been said to me a fair few times by autistic or non-autistic people. It is, you can't be autistic because my 12-year-old grandson is autistic and you're nothing like him. The age, relation or gender may change, but the sentiment remains the same. Well, here is the thing, I am not your 12-year-old grandson. I am a 40-something-year-old man. As an adult, I have spent years learning to mask in order to fit in. Also, as human beings, we are all different. Even two autistic people of the same age and gender will be different. We may have things in common, but we are not the same people. If you have ever found yourself saying this to an autistic person, then please resolve to do better in future. In fact, start now. Please never ever say this again. When I first heard this, I tried to think of how it could perhaps be meant in a positive way. I can't. If you can think of something positive about someone saying this, then please leave a comment. I'd love to hear it. The next expression is one I think people believe is complimentary, but really it's just offensive. Just don't say it. It is, you can't be autistic because you're so intelligent. Well, thank you for the last part, but the rest is absolute nonsense. Being autistic doesn't define intelligence. Having a degree doesn't preclude me from being autistic any more than not having one makes you autistic. Autistic people, like non-autistic people, have varying levels of intelligence. We actually tend to have more knowledge on subjects which interest us because we usually have the ability to completely absorb ourselves in such subjects. Then we have, you can't be autistic because you can socialise. What? Where to start with this one? Yes, it is quite common for us autistic people to avoid social situations, and sure, some autistic people can't socialise at all, but again, it is not a hard and fast rule. Personally, I can socialise. I almost always feel awful afterwards. It can take me days to recover from spending time out in public or with a crowd. But that's not to say that I just can't do it. Being autistic does not mean not being able to socialise. I tend to only socialise in places where I have been before and or with people with whom I am comfortable. In such situations, for the length of the event, I can be a little social butterfly. In other settings, I can completely crumble. It varies, and to generalise is quite frankly ignorant. Not many more to go, at least in this episode. I'm sure I'll think of, or even worse, hear more in the near future. For now though, you just looked me in the eye so you can't be autistic. Well, wrong again. Whilst it is often very uncomfortable and exhausting for an autistic person to do the whole eye contact thing, it doesn't necessarily mean that we can't. Personally, I don't do it naturally. I have to force myself to make eye contact, but when I do, it makes me feel very awkward. Sure, it may benefit non-autistic people for us to look them in the eye. I don't know why, but anyway, it really doesn't benefit me, and so I'm not doing it. I saw a discussion on Twitter, now X, about this, and a commenter stated that they felt more comfortable sitting in the car with someone because they're side by side, and that totally makes sense to me. I actually enjoy social interactions more when I'm sitting next to someone than facing them for this reason. Next up, and penultimately for the moment, one of my favourites. Autistic people don't get sarcasm. That's highly inaccurate. Sure, some sarcasm does pass me by, but not always. Also, given the right circumstances, I can be one of the most sarcastic people you could ever meet. What I don't get are hints and people just not saying what they mean. But that's me. Other autistic people are available and have their own views. Lastly, but most definitely not leastly, we have you don't look, sound, act, taste or smell autistic. Seriously with the ignorance, this is such a damaging rhetoric. Again, all autistic people are different. Sure, we do have certain things in common, but we are all individuals. This is something which really affects autistic females. Due to high levels of masking and people being ignorant, autistic females are far more likely to go undiagnosed. Because people think that autistic people are all the same, we struggle to access support services, especially autistic women. We are dealt with in ways which make things difficult for us, and we generally have much more difficult lives than we should. Of course, we don't fit the stereotypes because we've spent years trying to fit in. We've expended a great deal of energy changing how we present ourselves, and to our detriment. In conclusion, all of these stereotypes need to go away. People need to learn that we are individuals. Once that happens, our lives will hopefully become much more tolerable. Will that be soon? I highly doubt it. Whilst there is such ignorance of autism out there, we still have a long way to go. Anyway, on a lighter note, I'm just back from spending a weekend with my family. It was my mum's birthday party. I had a great time, I socialised, I was sarcastic a fair few times, I looked some people in the eyes, and I was intelligent regularly. Also, I was totally like a 12-year-old child, except for the alcohol. 12-year-olds should not drink alcohol. And I am also not advocating that anybody drink alcohol unless as an adult you choose to do so. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you have enjoyed it, please consider making a donation via Ko-fi at https://ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/LittleAutisticMe. Please also click the follow button to be notified of when future episodes are uploaded. You can find me on Twitter or X at twitter.com/autisticforum. My Facebook page is at facebook.com/LittleAutisticMe, and on Blue Sky it's littleautisticme.bsky.social. Talk to you in the next episode.